Over the last 5 or 6 years, Brian and I have had varying involvements with the community. As non-creators, the feeling of, are we welcome in the community as a whole? Is this a welcoming community? Not the community support awards it wins, nothing that profound, nothing that firm. When Brian used the word invitation, some people expect this like gilded thing in the mail with a wax seal on it. Just the act of feeling that somebody extended out their hand and said, hey, how are you? And so Brian and I over the years have had differing interactions with the community. As content creators, that has been something that has changed the perspective on that. When I went to my first fan fest, there were people who introduced themselves to me, and that felt bizarre. And that felt weird. The ability to interview Yoshi P or be invited to media tours, and that's different. And so those are kind of two different ways that I interact with the community. And over the years, as Brian and I have had our opinions of the community just shared with the public, that has been on things that we feel very devout on, and we feel very strongly opinionated on through lots of hours of experience in this game or in multiple games. And there have been things that somebody just asks our opinion, and so from a distance, we commentate on something. And that has historically been things like Savages and Ultimates, content that's not really for us. Or taking part in community events, because neither of us is in, like, we're not super into RP, we're not super into glamour, and because of our personal life schedules, we end up not being around some of the hours that I just see a lot of the, like, nightclubs and all these cool things that I hear about, but it's not something that Brian and I typically engaged in. And so in 2021, I tried to become a broader Final Fantasy XIV creator. Just go get involved in all the systems that you never have. Just go start touching parts of the game that you've historically maybe just touched on patch day, or you haven't really touched at all. Just go broaden your experience. And in 2022, I said, okay, with that under my belt, I want to deepen my experience within those things. I want to finish some things that I've started. Finish a Savage tier. I want to go and actually go get involved in these things. Go get involved in the community is one of those things. And so I made the effort to go reach out within things like Llama Todd's community, who's welcoming of everybody. I didn't have to be some fancy checkmark holder or anything like that. I'm just talking about me, Jane Doe, the Blue Pig, Orange over here for the Alliance Raid collab. I'm not necessarily talking about like some number of subscribers on YouTube or anything that profound. I'm just talking about Chris, just a guy that plays Final Fantasy that wanted to be more invested in the community. Now, sometimes those have had overlap. There are certain communities within 14 where I am not welcome because of choices tied to work to game. Posts we have made, thumbnails we have used, statements we have, or opinions we have had in the past, or things we've gotten wrong, or whatever. There are places on the internet where we're not welcome as Chris because of things as work to game or something like that, and that's fine. Live with your consequences. That's fine. That has been, it's been a learning curve my entire life to work its way up. I kind of have this like resting, condescending tool, like face and voice sometimes. And so sometimes it's unintentional that I step in the mud. Other times it's just ignorance, and I just accidentally do something that I just wasn't aware of the impact it would have. But I meant for it to have an impact, just not the impact that I got. And other times, yeah, I'm just not going to get along with everybody, just like you might not get along with everybody. And that's okay. But this last year, being invited to go do this Darian Hart organized Alliance Raid thing, and showing up and being told, hey, here's the glamour. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. We're all going to dress in metallic orange. Sure. When I arrived off the Aetheryte, and there were all the people standing in those different colors, I don't care about glamour. It's not my end game in any game. But being in these different groups like this, it felt like being part of something. Once again, not as work to game, but as a subscriber to Final Fantasy XIV. And so I tweeted out like what it meant to me. Day 1 Alliance raids are so fun, even with 23 strangers. It's like my favorite thing during the patch cycle. Outside of an expansion, my next favorite time is Day 1 Alliance raids. I just love the chaos. I love watching 20 people get yeeted from a mechanic. I just find it fantastic. It's what I loved about the Bosja Zadnor raids, is that they felt like that well after day one, and I adored that. But I just wanted to sit down and talk about how my thoughts have changed. When I started getting into story for the game, there was a mentality that because I like story now and I didn't like story when I started 14, that I'm repentant. What people who thought that I had like shifted the way I played, what the feeling I must be experiencing was. And I wasn't, because repentant to me means I'm sorry. Repentant means to me if I could go back and do it differently, I would. And that's not how I feel. I'm very, very happy with my journey and how it's shaped up to be. And that includes all the years that I skipped and all the years now that I look forward to being involved in story. And I really don't want my journey to at any point be that because I started caring about story, you should have to, either from the get-go or at any point when you play 14, because that's not how I feel either. But when it comes to the community, this has felt like a big shift for me, like a paradigm moment, like where like I'm crossing over the top of a pyramid where there's a tilt. And like it's just been something that's meant enough to me that I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. And I don't even know who to thank. The Darian Hart thing here was kind of the catalyst for this video, but it's been a trend of things. It's feeling welcome raiding in Llama Todd's community. It's feeling welcome when I'm in Discords just as a guy. When I was in this collab, I don't think everybody in that group knew or cared who I was. And it's this mentality has been something that's been happening across all games. And so I think 14's had a big part of it because it is my home MMO. It is the MMO that I most consider myself attached to, but I play 4 of them. And so when I'm over in Guild Wars, nobody has any idea who I am. And yet, like, it's the same thing over there. It's this, in trade for me, reaching out a little bit, just 10%, 20%, putting myself out there. It's reminded me of so much of what got me in love with MMORPGs in the first place. Middle school and high school were not great times for me. And I say that to like the 1 or 2 people I still talk to from those times. And it's like telling your mom that you didn't have a happy childhood. They take like personal offense to it because they were there. Like, of course you did. You were a happy kid. Oh, well, I guess since you think so, then I guess I have to be. No, it wasn't. I really didn't like middle school and high school, and for a whole lot more reasons than belong in this discussion. But I didn't. They weren't great. But what that meant was I got a lot of joy out of online interactions because it was somewhere I got to be someone else. It was somewhere I got to go and wipe the clean slate. And if I got made fun of at school that day, that didn't carry into the world of Warcraft. It didn't matter. And I didn't get made fun of for anything about my physical appearance or anything like that. The awkwardness in my voice, something going on in my life that I couldn't control. Because everything inside of Azeroth I could control. Because I was in control from the moment I logged in to the moment I logged out. Anything about my life that I wasn't proud of or I wasn't thrilled about just didn't come into Azeroth with me. And so I got to build this friend group on this pretense of the parts of me that I wanted to explore, the parts of me that I wanted to test the boundaries. I could ask questions I would never ask in person. I could be friends with people I probably never would have met or gotten along with in person. And as I slowly built past, hey, do you want to run this dungeon together? I got to know people that are from walks of life that I would never overlap with. And so I am friends with this diverse set of people off the internet that lead lifestyles that like I just don't understand. And because we have this common ground over here, I've had this empathetic natural bridge to A, know that it's not from a point of I don't like you, that I'm saying something stupid or ignorant. It's I'm reaching out and I want your feedback. And so that sense of community is something that has made me so fond of World of Warcraft. The Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, yeah, it was good content. It was. But it was also an incredibly special time in my life when those things meant a lot to me as I was building the foundation of shaping the parts of me that I would love and celebrate and learning to grow and mature the parts of me that I realized maybe weren't areas that I want to carry until I was what felt like far away ages, like 25 and 30. And now, being very well aware of what 40 is going to mean for me, though I'm not there, I look back at a lot of the growth I've had as a person, and the community online has so much to do with it. And Work to Game has been literally life-changing. I mean, I do this for a full-time living. That's insane. I don't even know how to explain it to people all the time. It's weird. It is. It's weird. And it's thanks to a very small portion of the community that supports me monetarily, which, like, I'm not even good at thanking. I don't even know entirely how to do. Because I don't even know entirely how I feel about it. Like, it's weird. It is. And it feels crazy. And I appreciate it. And I could not imagine what my life would be without it. But at the same time, if I want to make more at work, I don't know how to ask for more. As opposed to, I've asked bosses for raises. It's insane what I have now. So when I look at the community as a whole, one of the things that I've gotten very comfortable doing is I know these games backward and forward. I know the parts of them I like, I know how to get to those parts, and I know how to play them to the degree that I want to play them. And if you want to play them to a different degree than me, that's fine. And I know how to be confident to say, you're clearing Savage, I'm not. You think you're better than me? Cool. I'm glad you think that. It doesn't shape my view. I know I'm happy with the way I play. And so, like, that kind of ability to play the game and take joy in it's been great. And that's not to say I don't have my own insecurities and I don't have these moments where my feelings get hurt. They happen. But largely, I've been able to continue playing the game the way I want to play it. But over the last year, over 2022, now that we are in 2023, I wanted to look back and basically say thank you. And I don't really know who to thank. I think it's probably Final Fantasy. But it's stuff like this. It's stuff that I've gone and gotten involved in that's helped me take on the next chapter of growth and not entirely knowing where I'm going to be on the other side. And it's this feeling of newness and this feeling of like wanting to be involved. And that comes with a huge risk. And I felt out of place in this. I felt awkward. I felt awkward raiding with Todd, and I felt embarrassed when I messed up pulls. But like in trade for those butterflies, it's really cool to be a part of something. And your feelings can be hurt incredibly easy. If you feel out of place, if I felt out of place with Todd, and then anybody commented on any of our channels that I'm a bad player, even though I self-proclaim I'm a bad player, it feels like a knife to the heart. Because you're already feeling self-conscious about it. But I wanted to say thank you, and I don't really know what that looks like, but being invited to things like this, doing collabs with other creators, feeling welcome in other people's chats, just as a person, it's not necessarily about thank you as a creator, though that is something I'm incredibly thankful for. It's also just generally voicing something that, because I have a platform to put my voice out there, I just wanted to say thank you as a player to other players. Running Mythic Plus with random people yesterday in WoW was a wonderful experience. Because it's just great to share the games we play with other people. And I don't know all the catalysts that did this. Brian quitting Final Fantasy is probably part of it. Some of my comfort blanket getting removed as he leaves the community has kind of said, okay, well then do I just want to be alone in it? No. Do I just want to be with the people who show up in my stream and message me on Discord and things like, no. I want more than that. Okay, well then you got to go ping other creators. Well, you could find out other creators don't like you. You could find out other people don't want to collab with you. Yeah, but you could also not. And so, as a player and as a content creator, I just am incredibly thankful for the experiences the last year. And I want to keep taking those risks. And I say all this because there might be somebody out there who doesn't feel like taking these risks because they've been burned. And they don't feel comfortable going into an alliance raid blind. And they don't feel comfortable going out to a Discord and finding a group to try to clear Ultimate or Criterion Savage or getting involved in PvP. But the worst somebody can do is say something mean about you that they don't know you, so it shouldn't carry any weight. I know that it does, but just realize they don't know who you are. So whatever they said, it's probably wrong. And they can say no. And you can be bad at something you're new at. And anything worth doing is worth doing well. And anything worth doing well is worth doing poorly on the path to getting better at it. So it's just an incredibly thankful reflection moment back on 2022. And this event really felt like the kind of catalyst for this post. That final straw of like, this is a really cool community. I don't think it's flawless. I think sometimes people take the community award as like a pat on their own back. And I think that award is actually geared at like what the incredible thankless job that the community team does, not necessarily the players themselves. And if it was thankful for the players themselves, we would need to acknowledge the number of times that some of us are more than capable of being dicks accidentally or intentionally. But yeah, that's how I feel. I'd like to take more risks. I'd like to keep getting to know more of the community. And it means I'm probably going to put my foot in my mouth quite a bit. But the pros outweigh the cons. The cons sting so bad. They do. It's salt in the wound, unlike when I'm just staying in my comfort zone. But there's a lot to be gained. So, thank you guys for showing me that again. And to anybody that's on the edge of taking a risk, just try one.